FTN Nation, what is up? Welcome to NHL Primetime debut. Javi Prellezo rocking the red Panthers gear. What is up, my guy?
What's up, man? I am the happiest hockey fan from Florida today. All right, that's my little pitch here, Meaney. I'm pumped up, man. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun season. It's a weird season, but it's gonna be fun. I'm excited, man. I wish my Panthers were playing today. I mean, I'd play them and probably lose money with them, but I love today's slate. Today's slate is great, and this is where you get the edge, Meaney, because people are mispriced. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah, writing up the values this morning, it was like I was feeling for our editor this morning, Daniel Kelly, is like, man, I just keep writing values and values. 5-game slate. Before we get into it, let's tell everybody what they can expect with this package. Still, if you're watching, great. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this season. It is going to be a fun season. Hopefully we help you guys win some cash. We're going to be active in the Discord chat. Javi's all over it. Russ, my guys, got cheat sheets every single day. You and I are going back and forth. We're going to have goalie rankings. We're going to have core plays. We're going to have value plays. And Russ's cheat sheet is phenomenal. So, Javi, just lots of hockey all the time for everybody out there. And any questions, strategy, contests, don't hesitate. Feel free to reach out.
Yeah, no. So strategy is a key piece, like strategy and contest. I don't want to take too much time into this, but contest selection is the key. I've preached this to all over FT, and I've preached it all over Twitter. You can't expect to put $10 in a 30,000 person contest and expect to win 20K. You got to be smart about that. You got to build your bankroll, and I mean, it's key here. So just keep that in mind. Like Meaney said, we'll have stuff up every day. We'll have content from a goalie article to a core plays article to cheat sheets to value article. So there's multiple articles there. Plus, I sleep about 3 hours a day, so I'll be in Discord chat about 20 hours of the day, and then the other hour will be like just to play some video games and stuff. So.
Also, Neil Parker. Yeah, I love the video.
Yeah.
Also, Neil Parker, new to the FTN family, has been writing DFS content for, I don't know, longer than Kyle Murray's been alive. We can say that. Neil has game-by-game previews, and he's been writing for DraftKings and RotoWire for several years. So happy to bring him on already. 5 games in opening day, and so the games, the game-by-game preview, the NHL first look, all that stuff will come at you very early. Neil's going to take a look at that the night before. He'll make some adjustments when he needs to in the morning, odds, lineup changes, starting goalies, whatever, all that stuff. But for the most part, me, you, and Russ will have everybody covered throughout the day with any changes. So let's get into it. You want to do it? 5 games?
Let's do it, man. I'm pumped. There's so much value. There's so much value.
It's too much value. Maybe we can leave money on the board here. So 5 games on the slate. It starts early, 5:30. We got the Penguins and the Flyers. We have Montreal and Toronto, Chicago, and the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. The other team in Florida, Bud, Vancouver and Edmonton, St. Louis and Colorado. So looking at all the totals, 6 across the board everywhere. 6.5 for Montreal, Toronto, 6.5 for Chicago and Tampa Bay. The Lightning heavy favorites. Everywhere else, really kind of pick'ems. I mean, the Avs are checking in -148, but for the most part, this is a pick'em day, and it's going to be an interesting day. So let's go position by position instead of game by game. Center position, McKinnon up at the top. Looking at DK here, McDavid, Matthews, Draisaitl, Crosby, Malkin, Point. Those are the guys who are at least 7K. What are you doing? Where are you going here? How are you starting?
So I think McKinnon's a great player. I think he goes overlooked. Like we see this all the time in different sports where people just smash in the early game, and the ownership is just way too high. And there's a lot of trap games to start out. I mean, you and I agree, that Toronto-Montreal game is a trap game. Not really for Montreal as much as Toronto. I think Toronto's going to be so chalky, and it's going to be dumb chalk. Personally, again, we could be wrong. It's opening night, different teams here. It's not really, huge changes for any specific team here. But something to note that's very important is that Kucherov is out for the year. So that's a big play for the Lightning because he was their top guy. When Stamkos went down in the bubble in the playoffs and whatnot, it was the Cooch show. So really now, I love Point. I think he's one of my favorite players. I actually have an autographed puck that I won from him. So Braden Point, yeah, maybe he becomes this Hall of Famer, and I'm gonna be rich for selling his signed puck. We don't know, but 7K is too cheap. Like Chicago was bottom 7, right? I think they were 5th worst in defense and allowing the most shots, plus allowing top 10 and allowing the most goals here. And they didn't really do anything to improve that defense. So, or that team. And they have some hurt guys here. So they're going to ride on Patrick Kane's back, who's one of my favorite hockey players in the NHL. But for me, it's Braden Point. I'll probably play a ton of him, and McKinnon. Again, he's overlooked. He's one of the best hockey players in the league at 8,500. It isn't the best matchup against St. Louis, but St. Louis is overrated in my opinion. And I think that, this is not going to be the same team. They can easily beat Binnington or Allen, whoever starts here. I don't think it's confirmed yet. So I'm starting at McKinnon. I'm going down the Point, and then in the middle, man, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Those two, you can't ignore those two. So I'm going to be that's my player pool pretty much at center. Like those 4 guys. I don't see myself going anywhere else, but I love Edmonton tonight. They're probably my favorite stack. Hopefully they're not chalk. I feel like they might be a little chalky.
I think they may be.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat the chalk there and be different by playing like their first power play unit, because I think their second line is going to be the chalky play. And for me, I'm going to play the power play unit because it's one of the best power plays in the league, and it's the same ones. And maybe I'm saying his name, Yamamoto.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah,
Yamamoto.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, he's cheap, and he's going to be on that first power play unit. So I like him quite a bit. But those are my 4 centers. So it goes. If I had to rank it in order, it's going to be Draisaitl, McDavid, McKinnon, Point, and then I'll throw a line at Matthews because he just has a good career against
against Montreal.
Like yeah. It's gonna be a one-off. Like I don't think I'm gonna correlate with Matthews. I think it's gonna be a one-off there. And obviously, if you're running these stacks, don't play the goalie that you're going against. We'll talk about that after that.
Yeah, we will. So there is a way to. You're right. The Oilers, I think, will beat chalk. There is a way to still be unique because, like you said, there's a lot of value, and we'll get to it when we talk about the wingers. Really, for the most part, there's a ton of value over there. It does seem like Binnington will get the start against Colorado for the Blues, and also this is a guy that struggled towards the end of last season. He really did. He wasn't the same goalie as when he came in and won the cup, and he was phenomenal. That season at the halfway point. I think the Blues were the worst team in the league, and he came in at the halfway point and then brought them to a Stanley Cup, and he was phenomenal throughout the playoffs. But he struggled last year, so I don't mind going to Colorado. I think that first game is a trap. I think you're dead on there. Pittsburgh and Philly, if I'm looking at all of the games, I feel like that's the one that will be the lowest scoring game.
I think for sure.
With Philly, both goalies are interesting. And watching Philadelphia last year too, the pause came at the wrong time for them. They had won 9 of 10. They won 16 of 22. They were red hot. They were the hottest team in the league. And then the pause kind of crushed them. But they just play a trappy, slow, I don't want to say boring style of hockey, but in the bubble against the Canadians and the Islanders, they really didn't generate a whole lot of offense. And Couturier is going to be up against Crosby, and his goal is going to be to shut him down. So I think that's the trap game. I'm not interested in Crosby and Malkin at all, or Couturier, Voracek, Giroux. None of these guys, I don't have any interest in them at all. If I were to rank them up at the top, I agree. I think Nate. I think I would go McKinnon, Draisaitl, McDavid. I see where you're going with Point. I like it. I got some 5-on-5 numbers here for the Hawks, and I know you know them as well, but nobody allowed more shots, scoring chances, high danger scoring chances, or goals at 5-on-5 than Chicago. They're without Jonathan Taves, their captain. They're super thin down the middle. Soderberg they brought in to play on the second line. He's not even going to play. Corey Crawford, who really kept them in a lot of games last season, is not even in the NHL anymore. I mean, he joined the Devils a month ago and then he retired last week. So Chicago is in a tough spot. The game total is 6.5. I don't even know if they're going to score 2 goals, right? So Vegas is thinking that the Lightning are probably going to get to 4 or 5 themselves. And I think Point will miss Kucherov. 28 power play goals over the last 2 years. And Kucherov assisted on half of them and 11 primary assists on those goals. But this matchup is too nice, Javi, to shy away from it. One guy I will throw at you, and I see if you like this at all, is Elias Patterson at 6'8". Like the Oilers play that back and forth, a lot of offense. They didn't really do anything to help out their blue line either. They bring in Tyson Barrie, who we'll get to. We like this guy. He's probably going to be the chalkiest play on the slate. He's not a good defensive defenseman. He's a great offensive defenseman. They didn't do anything to help out their goalies either. So this is my favorite game. Like game stacking,
For
Edmonton
sure.
and Vancouver. That's the one. I think Patterson is underpriced at 6'8".
For sure. I think he's definitely in play. For me, it's just I prefer. I get it.
Spend up.
Edmonton. Yeah, no, it's not that. Just go $200 more for Point. Like Point's gonna be on the first line. He's gonna be on that power play, and he's going against Chicago. Like Chicago got worse in my opinion. So I didn't think it was possible with especially the stats you're spitting out. So that's why he does take a hit with Cooch out, but I mean Palat, he's cheap. You can do a nice little stack there with Tampa, and it's not going to break the bank, So that's
Right.
why I like Tampa a little bit more. Pedersen don't make sense. Like you mentioned, Barrie, he's a high scorer. I love him for DFS, but he's terrible defensive. I wouldn't say terrible, but he's not the best
He's not the
defensively.
best anyways.
Yeah, and Edmonton's goalies are meh. They're not good.
Yeah,
They're
not
they're
great.
never they're never in my player pool. But yeah, that defense didn't seem to get better. So they're going to allow us a ton of chances. I like it. I just prefer other options. So, Vancouver is definitely a sneaky stack, though. I agree with you. I'll have a game stack here.
Is there – I agree. I think I will too. Is there any value at all at center? I think the play is to spend up at center for these guys.
100%.
And then the wingers, you take the value. And then you could also spend up at D when we'll get to in a little bit. There are a couple I want to throw out, a couple names. There's actually no one really in that 5K range that I like. There's just a couple anyways, like Horvat is 5'9". Couturier, I mentioned, going to have to go up against Sid. A bit of a shutdown role for him tonight. 5'7". Hayes, 5'1", going to have to go up against Malkin. Kadri at 4'9" is interesting. He stands out. This is somebody, a former 30-goal scorer. Last year, he was limited to like 66 games, 28 goals, 54 points. The Avs are loaded in their top six. They bring in Brandon Saad, one of the best 5-on-5 players. He's going to play with Kadri. Landeskog's going to be on that second line. Burakovsky on the top. Like those top two lines in Colorado, pretty solid. But that's the only value play I like. I think later on down the road, I may like Dylan Strome for Chicago, but not in this matchup against Tampa Bay 3-1. But he could just fall into 20 minutes because there's just no one there. But that's it, man. Like I feel like there's not a lot of value here. Like Suzuki and Kadri, those are the only two I like.
Yeah, no, it's pay up at center for me.
Pay up at
That's what I'm doing. Yeah. So again, like I list the five guys, and then a close six is Pedersen. But I'm paying up at center today. I just don't like the value. I mean, wing value and defensive value is just so juicy. So it's just tough to ignore that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get over to wing. We got Stamkos at 7'4", Kane at 7'1", Rantanen 7, Nugent Hopkins 6'9", Marner 6'8". Gensel 6'5" rather. We'll get to the value in a little bit. Out of this group, I think Rantanen and Nugent Hopkins, those are the guys. You can go Nugent Hopkins with McDavid. He's got the number one power play unit on there. The third member of that top line is Cassian. I think he's a complete fade. He's not going to get any power play time, but you can go Hopkins, McDavid. We'll get into Yamamoto again, but he's on that number one power play unit. That's interesting. And then Rantanen is going to be with McKinnon. So this is the Rantanen, McKinnon, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid. It seems a little too simple. It's expensive, but guys, don't worry. We have some value for you. Anyone else at the top that you like here at the winger position?
Yeah. So I don't want to one-off Stamkos. I want to, again, I'm against really one-offing in hockey because there's so much correlation involved. We'll discuss how the scoring works another time. But Stamkos, really, I just want him in my stacks with Point and Palat, which Palat's another value guy. And then Rantanen, as you mentioned, I like him quite a bit. Again, Colorado, I see McKinnon as one of my top plays here. So Rantanen correlates perfectly because he's on line one and he's in the power play one. So it's double correlation there. And then you mentioned Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I like him, especially your power play one stack. I don't think he's on the first line. I think he's on the second line, but he is on the first line, but still he's going to double correlate with these guys. Right. He won't double correlate with Draisaitl, but he will double correlate with McDavid. So Nugent-Hopkins is definitely in play. And then If you want to correlate from the power play one standpoint for Colorado, Landeskog, he's priced pretty down at 6,100. I think he's too cheap. Again, he's on the second line, but he can easily, because he's getting that power play time, and it's Colorado going against St. Louis. I think he's definitely in play here.
Yeah, and something has to be said. We just kind of poo-pooed on Binnington a little bit. At least I did. But no Pietrangelo too. I mean, they replaced him with Torrey Krug. I think he's going to be able to put up this same kind of production on the power play potentially, but defensively, there's a difference between those two guys. I mean, Pietrangelo eats a lot of minutes against top players. Like, this is a guy tonight, if he was with the Blues, would be playing 25, 26 minutes against McKinnon, where now they're like, uh-oh. I mean, they still have a strong defensive core, but the loss of Pietrangelo, I think they'll feel that anyways in St. Louis. I'm not really spending up here besides Rant and Nugent Hopkins. There's a huge drop-off to me after that. Like Marner, Gensel, Perron, Gallagher. I suppose Nylander is interesting at 6'2", but I think that is going to be a low-scoring affair too, Montreal and Toronto. Is there anything in this mid-5 range? Brian Rust, I guess, a little bit. He's going to play with Malkin and play with Zucker. There's some interest there, but I think Burakovsky at 4.8, like that's a guy that I could get interested in.
Love Burakovsky. He's going to be one of my highest owned players here at 4,800. He's going to be with McKinnon the whole time. Like, of course, he's going to correlate perfectly. 4,800 against St. Louis. We talked about the downgrade at defense with Krug. They're still a good defensive team, but Binnington was poo-poo his last 5 games. If you see that, again, it was a different time. It's a new season, but they took a downgrade in defense here. So if we're going to chase the struggles, which I'm down with doing, especially opening night, for a cheap Burakovsky who's going to be with McKinnon the whole time, sign me up. I like him quite a bit. And then we touched on it briefly, but Yamamoto, he's a guy. Like, how do you not play that guy, right? He's going to be with Draisaitl the whole time, right? He's on the second line. He's so cheap. And he's going to be on the first power play.
Which is new to him because he wasn't last year. Like, this is new. I was looking into him pretty deep in the offseason, Javi, on our fantasy hockey draft guide. He's a guy who started off playing 15 minutes per game. By the end of it, in the bubble, he's playing nearly 19 minutes per game. Last year, really getting no power play time. This year, on that first unit. Last season, he had a ridiculous, unsustainable 25% shooting rate. But when you play with Draisaitl, you're just going to fall into points and goals. It's going to happen. Like, Draisaitl is an absolute stud. It's going to happen. But 26 points in 27 games. He only went 8 games last season without a point. 8. Like, again, this is not sustainable. But this first matchup against Vancouver, they allowed the second most high danger chances at 5-on-5. I'm not sold on Braden Holtby. I think he's taken a big step back since the cup run. I'm not totally into him. I think they've lost a couple pieces on the blue line, like Tanev, like just an underrated piece that Vancouver had. So I think there's just going to be a lot of goals. Love Yamamoto at 3.9. He's 4.8 on FanDuel. He's a terrific price over there as well. We're not breaking any news here, but he belongs. I'll say this. When I was talking about him falling into points, he belongs in the top 6, no matter what.
100%.
He's that skilled, whether he plays with McDavid or he plays with Draisaitl. He's going to play with one of the two all year and get the top power play time. Another guy I want to throw out there, let's just dig a little bit deeper. There's so much value here at wing. It's unbelievable. So Yamamoto at 3.9. I mean, Saad at 3.8 is okay, but there's just so much other value here.
Mike Hoffman.
Hoffman? Are you kidding me? Like, DraftKings is completely snoozing here. He's 6 on FanDuel. He's 6K over on FanDuel. This is you know him. You know him pretty well.
He's a Florida. He's a one-time I think he's got one of the best one-time slap shots in the NHL.
He's a pure sniper.
Yeah, he's a pure sniper. He's so underrated. The guy's a scorer. He also facilitates it. So this guy at 3,200, like, what are you doing, DraftKings? But hey, DraftKings falling asleep is our gain. Again, we don't know how chalky he'll be. I take it he'll be chalky. I love one-offing with Mike Hoffman today. I don't want to stack St. Louis today.
Same.
Yeah, I don't want to stack St. Louis today, but a one-off Mike Hoffman makes so much sense. If he's not on the first power play unit, St. Louis needs to just trade him away.
He's going to be on there. Yeah. He's going to be on the point too, like right on the point with Krug.
It's just crazy to me. So like Mike Hoffman there, I mean, we've Burakovsky on a top, basically with the best hockey player in McKinnon. Yamamoto with two of the best hockey players, one on the power play unit, and one on his line. And then
Yeah,
you got Mike Hoffman, who's one of the most underrated players in my opinion,
I agree.
at 3,200. Like the sniper king, as I used to call him at the Panthers. I'm so upset the Panthers didn't re-sign him, but
And they
it
lost
is
him
what it
and
is.
Dadnoff. Jeez, I thought maybe they
Yeah.
would just keep one of them, but it's tough. And it's not like Hoffman signed a 1 year, $4 million contract for a guy who has at least 22 goals in 6 straight seasons, averaging 231 shots over that span,
Yeah.
56 power play points over the last 2 years. Now he joins a Blues team who had a top 3 power play. He's averaging 25 power play points over his last 4 seasons. This is such a great get for the Blues. I don't understand the price. It must be because
Yeah.
the player tryout. Maybe he had a player tryout, but they just had to put Tarasenko on long-term IR to officially sign him. He's extremely mispriced. What do you think his ownership is going to be like in huge like
In
slates?
cash, he's probably a staple, probably
Yeah,
like
I think he can
70,
afford it.
80%. But in GPPs, I think he'll be like 40, 50%. He's going to be
He's
super
going to be
high
huge.
owned. But again, it's tough for NHL is a tough one to project here, but it's a smaller slate, so you can kind of get an idea. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he needs to fire his agent too. How do you only get that much in his contract?
Yeah, it's weird.
Like I don't understand, but that's
Tough
crazy. But
times.
yeah, but moving on to like Lindblom from Philadelphia, he's a good one off too at 2,700. He should
Yeah,
be on the top line.
yeah.
Again, I don't like this game, but as a one-off at 2,700, he doesn't need to do much to get there. So I think that's another guy that's interesting. But again, I'm gonna have so much Burakovsky and Hoffman and Yamamoto that it's just I don't know who else I'm gonna put in there at value. But Lindblom, if I need the salary at 2,700 on a top line against Pittsburgh, who was pretty solid defensively, but I think they're
Mhm.
gonna fall down towards the pack. So I don't mind him quite a bit.
Also, I'll rank him Hoffman, Yamamoto 2, Burakovsky 3. I love the Lindblom call. He's in the value article today. You're right. Top line. Doesn't look like he's going to get any power play time, but that I mean, he could. He's gotten it before in the past. The Flyers just have a lot of options there that they can throw out there. But 18 goals in 30 games last season, 17 as a rookie in the NHL. So he's very skilled. He belongs in that top 6 as well, just like a Yamamoto, as a guy who can contribute. I do like him, but I agree. It's just a one-off. I don't want to stack Flyers. I don't even really want to pair him with Couturier. If you're playing multiple lineups, I think it's fine. But there's still a lot of there's still more value here to
Mm-hmm.
guys to talk about. I mean, Farabee is 3K, not totally into him, but Josh Anderson, 3K. Last year was a write-off for him. It was a bad 26 games, dealt with a shoulder injury, had off-season surgery. But the year before that, 27 goals over 200 shots. He was one of 3 players to have 20 goals and over 200 shots and 200 hits. Ovechkin and Blake Coleman, the other two. 3K is just mispriced. He's mispriced because
Yeah.
you're looking at him at last year. That's all it is. I mean, he scored 17 as a rookie, 18. He's flirted with 20 a couple times. So I like him. He's going to get power play time. He's going to play with Montreal's most skilled forward in Nick Suzuki. So there's something to be said about those two, but they won't be together on the power play. So just keep that in mind. If you're into stacking two of a line, if you are into Suzuki, it's probably better off you play him with Drouin, because they're going to be paired together on the power play. You're going to have Josh Anderson on that second unit. But I like his price at 3K. Hoglander for the Canucks, 2.9. No JT Miller tonight due to COVID reasons, and he was already going to play on the power play anyways. So I think he's going to be paired up with Bo Horvat, but also another guy who's going to get some power play time, a high total game. Don't shy away from the Canucks, guys. Oilers are going to be chalky, but the Canucks are going to be able to do their part as well. I think it's going to be a high-paced game. And then one more I'll throw at you is Dominic Cahoon, 2.9. He's the other
Yeah,
guy.
that's a guy.
Cahoon,
I was hoping you weren't gonna
Draisaitl.
say him, man.
Throw it at you. Cahoon, Draisaitl, Yamamoto. Boom.
Yeah,
There could be the best line in the NHL tonight, and they check in at 10K.
yeah, yeah. It's so cheap, like it's ridiculous. I have a stack right now of that second line. Like he's not gonna get power play time, at least not in the first unit,
Yeah.
but he's gonna be with Draisaitl Yamamoto. Like, how do you not play the guy in a high pace matchup with a shit ton of shots, probably? So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. I mean, both sides of this, and people are scared to game stack in hockey, and I love the call of game stacking here with Vancouver and Edmonton. I think they're both in play, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much value. And we
I
can
know.
list it. I mean, if you're tuning late to the show, we can list it at the end also. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's just a lot of players mispriced, and a lot of them are just on new teams,
Yeah.
like Anderson and Cahoon and Hoffman. And then as we move over to defense, Barry. But I think this is a spot here with 5 games to be able to take some of these value guys that we've mentioned, spend up at center, and maybe just spend up at D. I kind of try to save cash when I rock defenseman. I'm looking at some guys obviously who get power play time, maybe some guys who can block a few shots for me. But I know producer Rob was talking about a strategy. I think it was yesterday with maybe rolling out 3D, one in util. Maybe not needed today on a 5-game slate, but it is a strategy that I like. If a defenseman is cheap and he's going to get second power play time and he can block a few shots, by all means, take a shot on him. But with all this value, I think spending up for a guy like Hedman or Makar, I think, it's a pretty good strategy to have both of those guys or one of the two.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hedman's going to get, the power play time. He's going to get, 25 minutes a game, too. The guy plays a ton against Chicago, and he's going to be on the power play 1 unit. He's going to run the point there. I wish the Panthers had him and not Keith Yandel, because this guy is so methodical. He's so precise, and he just runs the PowerPoint unit. Like, he's the guy, and he's so smooth. If you watch him, I don't know how to describe beautiful hockey, Victor Hedman. This guy is great defensively, and he's great offensively. So he is quite the player. And if you can pay up for him, I like it. I am leaning more to like the mid range to bottom range for defense tonight, but
Okay.
I will have a lineup with Hedman for sure. Makar is definitely interesting, especially, he's going to be in the power play unit too with McKinnon them plus the first line. So I don't think I'm going to get him Makar as much, but Hedman, yeah, I don't think you can't get too much Hedman here. And then another guy, which you didn't touch on. I know you're not going to like this. I mean, we don't like the game, but Toronto, Morgan Riley,
No, it
like
makes sense.
too cheap. He's too cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is quite the player. Also, he's going to take a ton of shots. He's going to have some block shots too.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the season, the guy was just. If you look at it too against Columbus, he just had over 10 DK points almost every game. And obviously you want a little bit more, but he's also going to be, he's too cheap. He's going to be a 7K guy probably later on too. Going against Montreal, again, they're not very good defensively. At least last year they weren't. Allowing a ton of opportunities, a ton of chances. And that's why I like Carey Price, because I think he's going to see a lot of opportunities. But again, Toronto, they have some chemistry issues, I feel like, and they're always overhyped. And, I'm tired of hearing those go Leaf go chants. You guys got to win a playoff game and then talk to me. But, I mean, Riley's definitely in play here, especially being on the power play unit.
Yeah, I like the Riley call. I like Riley and Barry. I think the reason they're priced like that is because you look at last season and Barry, I think off the top of my head, like 39 points, right? I mean, when he was with Colorado, he had 57 and 59. He averaged 4 minutes per game on the power play. It was cut in half. And Riley's production was cut in half too, because in 2018, when there was no Barry, he had 20 goals and 72 points. 72 points for a defenseman in 82 games. He averaged 23 minutes per game. He was a beast on the power play. He had 223 shots. Last year, Barry comes in, starts messing around with, 1 PP unit, 2 PP unit, cutting into each other's ice time, and they both regressed. Yeah. So I agree. Riley is underpriced. He's a guy that's probably going to be in the mid sixes in a couple weeks. He's going to get top power play unit. He's going to be a beast. And he's got a guy in TJ Brody as his defense partner who's more reliable. Defensively, at least, strong skater, puck moving defenseman. Riley's going to be able to take some shots, join the play, and have a guy like Brody backing him up on the blue line. And again, Barry, like it ties into each other here. Barry with Colorado, as I mentioned, was just a beast. Got a lot of time on the power play and a lot of ice time, and now he's joining last year's #1 power play, the best power play in the league. There's no Oscar Klefbom. This guy's going to probably play 4 or 5 minutes. If Vancouver takes 5 penalties tonight and Edmonton gets 10 power play minutes, Barry may get 6 of those 10. Like, he's just going to be on the ice all night.
Yeah, and he's 4,400. Like, DK, what are you doing? I mean, he's chalk, but I think he's good chalk today at 4,400. Again, if you want to go like Barry and then pay up a Hedman, I love that strategy today, and I'll definitely have it. Again, you got to find ways to be different on a 5-game slate. Barry's not going to be the one, but that's a guy who has one of the highest upsides on the slate at defense at his price at 4,400. So Tyson Barrie, he's just a stone cold lock. He's probably the first guy that I've been clicking today. obviously injuries happen,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. So you don't want to go 100%, but go overweight. I think he's definitely in play here, especially because we love Edmonton. So
Yeah.
there's nobody that I really like. I don't know about you, me. I'm curious your take that I like between like the Barry and Riley section,
Mhm.
or even like Barry to Hedman. Like in between there, I just like Riley, and then there's really nobody else. Like it's either pay up for Hedman, McCarr, Riley, and
Yeah.
then go all the way down to Barry.
I agree. Yeah, those are going to be my guys. In fact, I think I'm just fading Tampa altogether. I mean, I get the point and the Hedman thing, and it's super risky to do. I may have one lineup with a Hedman and a point, just like
Yeah.
maybe they kind of get involved in the power play, and I probably would pair him up with Palat potentially. But I agree. It's Makar, who I love because I'm going to have the Colorado stack, and then I'm fading Toronto too because I feel like they're going to be chalky. But I understand where you're going with Riley. It does make a lot of sense. He's undervalued. The usage is going to be high. He can return value. But I agree in that range. Quinn Hughes is interesting at 5-1. I mean, Schmidt and Edler are more expensive than them. I thought that was interesting to see. I know
Very
Edler's a big
interesting.
shot blocker, but who cares? Give me the upside on Hughes, right? He's going to
Yeah.
have the number one power play. He's going to play a lot. He's got the offensive ceiling with him is double Schmidt and Edler put together. So I like Hughes in that range, but that's it, man. I don't even like any cheap defensemen. I'll throw one out there as just being a homer, and I threw this one out there on the Mayo Media Network this morning on the Fantasy Hockey Bets and Picks show. Uh, Romanov, Alexander Romanov. He's a rookie. He's a highly touted prospect. He's 2.5. He's 2.5 because I don't, if DraftKings is making Barry 4.4, I mean, they're going to put minimum on Romanov 2.5. But he's going to get second power play duties with the Canadians. He's going to be on the third pair. He is a rookie, so there's some fear that rookies, especially blue line, it's tough for rookies in general at any position, but I think it's tougher for a defenseman to break into the league. There's a big learning curve there, but I think he could get up to 16 minutes, which is not crazy, but you could block a few shots. He's very aggressive. He throws his body around, so he's not afraid to get in shooting lanes. But I like the fact that he has some offensive upside. So that's as cheap as I would go 2.5. But it's for the people out there playing multiple lineups. Like if you're playing 10 and I'm playing 10, I probably won't have any Romanov there. What are you doing in goal?
Yeah, well, before you do that, somebody and Russ, this is props to Russ because I dove into this afterwards. Calvin DeHaan is interesting to me. I like him quite a bit at 3,200, and the reason I say that is because again, Tampa Bay is taking a big hit, and I agree with you. Like I'm going to play Tampa, but only because they're playing against Chicago, who's terrible, and they take a big hit on defense. Like they're going to allow a ton of shots, potentially get sloppy out there.
Good point.
Yeah, so I like Calvin DeHaan because he's going to block a ton of shots. Like that's what he's known with, and he can get that bonus. And he did that quite a few times last year. Actually, he had the most times where he got that 5+ block shot bonus. I don't know. I know DK changed their scoring this year. I don't know if that's still a thing, but at 3,200, I like Calvin DeHaan quite a bit. Connor Murphy, same thing from Chicago. He's a little bit more expensive, 3,700. I think I prefer to go one or the other. Don't play both together. But Connor Murphy, he's going to be playing on the defensive pairing with Duncan Keith on the first one. So he's quite a good play here. And then if you go like super, super cheap, I know there's a few punt guys. You mentioned one, Matheson. I'm curious to see what his thing. I was a big fan of him in Florida. I don't think he's going to get too much run or too. He was on the PK unit with Florida, so he can get some ice time there. But I'm curious to see what his role is going to be before I go that route. And then another punt guy that we didn't talk about here is Hamonic. Travis Hamonic on Vancouver is another good play. He's 2,500 min value. So I'm going to be playing a few of him because again, same thing. Too cheap. He's going to get 20 minutes of ice, 20 plus minutes of ice time. He's actually involved in offense. He had, he went on a hot streak towards the end of the season where he had like 4 assists in 8 games or something like that. And he blocks shots. So I like him quite a bit. I think he's definitely in play here as well. But those are the two like cheapy guys that I like on defense.
Just seeing some questions in the Discord. We'll have that value article I just pinged our editor, Daniel Kelly. I think it's going to go live here any minute. I just told him to go live with it now, so it should be soon. And I have them ranked in just in order of guys that I like. And we'll recap that for you guys just after we get through goalies here. Yeah, I like the Hamonic call. DeHaan makes a lot of sense too, blocking shots. Like that's a key underrated thing, I think. And I think that's where Rob was going, right? To get that cheap defenseman util potentially. And if he blocks shots and the bonus is still there. So if he blocks 3, you're going to get the bonus, an extra 3 points and 1.3 for a block shot. So yeah, he could block 5 or 6.
Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
there's no question. Okay, goalies, what are you doing here? Vasilevsky up at the top. I think if you can make it work, sure. But this is a situation where he may only face 20 shots. He may get a lot, but he's definitely going to get the W. The Tampa Bay Lightning are the heaviest favorites on the board.
Yeah, I don't think Chicago's offense is going to be as good as last year. Like they had so many shot opportunities last year. They actually they were top 10 in shots taken last year. But not many squeak by. They're just like bad shots. So they're easy saves a lot of the time. I think it takes a dive with the injuries on the front line and whatnot. And basically, Patrick Kane might take 20 shots, and they might have 25 total shots. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, Vasilevsky might not run into it, but he can easily get a shutout. And shutouts big points in NHL. So up top, he's definitely first if you can get there. But I'm not forcing it really. We don't like the Pitt Philly game. We like more the Montreal side and Toronto, but it's not our biggest favorite. I wrote up both goalies from the Montreal and Toronto side. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's a trap game personally. I don't like both sides too much, just a few value plays. So I like them because, again, low scoring, but a ton of shots from both teams. They were both top 10 teams in shot attempts. So you could see a ton of shots, and maybe it squeaks by because Frederick Anderson, I don't think he's very good. I'm very low on him, but he's going to see a lot of attempts from Montreal. But like in that expensive range, it goes Vasilevsky and then Anderson for me. I think he's too expensive at 8,100. I'm not playing any of the Edmonton guys. And like I said, we like that Pitt and Philly game, mainly for goalies. Like that's where I find myself landing. So Carter Hart that guy took a big step last year. I think this guy's the goalie of the future for the Flyers. So I'm a big fan of him at 7,800. I think he's too cheap. But again, there's always a risk of him going against Pittsburgh. So that scares me a little bit. But my favorite one, because I listed a bunch, is Tristan Jarry.
Ooh, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe in the Flyers offense too much. They went cold last year. They're a very high defensive team. So that's why I like Carter Hart a little bit too, even though they're going against Pittsburgh. But like Tristan Jarry, he's sneaky. Like he's way too cheap in my eyes at 7,300 against this Flyers offense that struggled towards the end of the season. And they didn't really do anything to upgrade that offense. Like in my opinion, I think the Flyers basically are just stagnant. I still think they'll be a good team because of their defense, but Tristan Jarry, I think he has the highest upside here, and seeing some shots, but I think he has the best chance at a shutout too. So I like Tristan Jarry quite a bit.
Yeah, 7-3 is very interesting. The ultra contrarian play of the night is Binnington. I don't know if I would go there, but that is the ultra contrarian play. I just feel like the Avs will roll, and we both are on the same page where the Blues could have some struggles defensively, but that game could. I like the over there. I think there's going to be some goals scored in that contest. Yeah, I agree. I'm in on Price and I'm in on Anderson. The reason I'm in on Anderson is I'm going to get real nerdy here on you and everyone listening. I'm going to do like the 5-on-5 numbers here. So number 1 in shots for at 5-on-5, number 4 in scoring chances for, number 3 in high danger chances for, 3rd in expected goals for, 19th in goals. If you watch the Canadians play, they dominate play at 5-on-5. They control the puck. They have a lot of shooters. They don't have any goal scorers. Like we're sitting here, okay, like let's be contrarian with the Habs. Where are you going to go? Like which guys are you going to play? It's tough to figure out which ones. Like they are a well-balanced team. They bring in 2 former 20 goal scorers in Anderson and Toffoli. You got nice balance. All of a sudden you got Byron and Lehkonen, 2 former 20 goal scorers playing on the 4th line. They roll 4 lines evenly. Like nobody's going to get 20 minutes and they're all going to be grouped up together is what I'm trying to say. But my reason for Anderson, I agree. I don't think he's all that fantastic of a goalie, although he has a solid track record against Canadian teams. Montreal has won 4 straight against the Leafs, but they didn't play Anderson in any of those games. It was Hutchinson, and Anderson is a big upgrade. But watching the Canadians and seeing what they do at 5-on-5 and the chances that they generate, the expected goals at third highest in the league, but bottom 10 in the entire NHL when, looking at goals for. They shoot they don't have any shooters, Javi. Like they hit crests, hit logos. They don't have any finishers. So I do think that the Canadians have the slight edge 5-on-5. Special teams, the edge is clearly on Toronto. But Anderson could fall into 30, 35 saves in this matchup just because of the recent history. And this goes back 3 or 4 years with the Canadians. Strong 5-on-5 play, but no goal scorers. So that's why I think they just really make opposing goalies look good. And on the other side, my reason for price is just too cheap, Javi. 7-6. Leafs are probably going to be chalky here. They're a buzzy team. Everyone's talking about Joe Thornton. Dude's never played wing in his life, not even in the Olympics. Great beard. Great dude. Like him. Still going strong. But, not crazy about their 5-on-5 play. And I don't like their bottom 6. Like their additions were Thornton and Simmons. Like these guys their prime is way gone. So my reason for price is just to get off the field a little bit. 7-6. We saw Bubble Price. He was phenomenal, beating the Penguins and almost beating the Flyers. So do you have any love for Carey? I know you did the rankings. Where would he rank for you for goalies here?
For Carey Price, so again, I'm heavy on the two, I guess on the 2 early games, you can say, because there's a 5:30 game Eastern and a 7 p.m. game Eastern, and then after that you get an 8 p.m. Eastern game. I'm so high on the first 2 games. So those 4 goalies. So if I have to rank it, for me it goes Jerry, then Price, then Hart, then Anderson, and then I think if you can pay up for Vasilevsky, I think he trumps them all. But again, how many shots is he going to really see? So the upside is kind of limited with Vasilevsky. So I think I put it more like Jerry, Price, Vasilevsky, then Hart, then Frederick Anderson. I just think Anderson is not good, and that defense is not good either. But again, who's going to score for Montreal, like you said? So I like the under for the first 2 games, especially like Pitt and Philly and Montreal and Toronto. I like the unders for those games. So I like the goalies. I think there'll be a lot of attempts on both sides in both games, but not many goals.
So I think if you can get there in Vasilevsky, do it. There's enough value to do it, to make it happen in cash. And then Price for me, Anderson, like the Jarry call, like going back and forth between Jarry and Hart. Both of those guys, I agree. I think it's going to be low scoring, but I think Price is a sneaky GPP play. And if you want to go the other way with Anderson, I think that's fine. But I know I am rocking the shirt, but don't be surprised, guys, if the Habs take it to the Leafs.
I like Price. Matthews has his number. That's the thing that's scary.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, Matthews has his numbers. I forgot what the stats were, but it was posted earlier. But I'm full fading the Chicago, Vancouver, Edmonton, St. Louis, and Colorado goalies. I'm not playing any of those guys. Like I mentioned, it's going to be the Tampa, Vasilevsky, and then the first 2 games. All 4 goalies are in play. So
okay, let's recap value. Well, we both at the center position, we both agree that you should spend up, get some shares of McKinnon, pair him up with Rantanen. You take the value on Burakovsky, we'll get to in a second. McDavid, Draisaitl. I like Draisaitl slightly more. I like his line mates a little bit more, but you can't go wrong with either of these guys. I mean, McDavid averaged 16.4, Draisaitl averaged 16.2. They're both studs. Fading Matthews, fading the Pittsburgh guys, into Point, into Kadri. Wingers, lots of value here. I'll rank lots of it. I'll go Hoffman. I mean, we talked about him earlier. He's a sniper. Power play time, going to quarterback the first PP unit. He's just underpriced. Hoffman, Yamamoto is 2 for me. Point per game player last year, playing alongside Draisaitl, getting power play time on the number 1 unit for the first time in his NHL career. You're going to be playing with McDavid and Draisaitl. Sign me up. So he is my second favorite. Burakovsky is my third with Rantanen and McKinnon. And then I think I'll go back to the Oilers and go with Dominic Cahoon as my fourth. Totally interested in him. But, man, we could go 5 Lindblom. We can go 6 Josh Anderson. Yeah. There's a ton of value, Javi. How do you rank them?
Yeah, no, I have the same exact order as you except the top 2. For me, I think I go Yamamoto over Hoffman because I'm running a ton of Edmonton stacks today. Again, I don't know how chalky they'll be. I think the second line will be chalkier than the first line personally, just because of
I agree.
just because of the pricing more. So I'm going to have more of the like power play unit, like power play 1 unit. So I'll have a ton of exposure there. And the first line, but I'm still going to rock a ton of them. So Yamamoto's in play just because he's on line 2 and power play 1. So Yamamoto for me, Hoffman, and then Burakovsky. Burakovsky's a great play. I think he can go overlooked personally. I don't know how many people are going to play him, but he can be in a one-off just because he's going to be with McKinnon the whole time. So I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, another guy to breakout year last year, playing a lot with McKinnon. Again, if you play with these superstars, you're going to fall into some points. In Washington, he hardly played. It was like 10 minutes per game. So he hit career highs across the board. All right, man, that was fun. Hockey's here. I love it. We're going to come at you guys normally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but lots of NHL content. Check out the Discord chat. I'm going to post the values in there. Javi's got his goalies, and he's got his core plays, and then look for Russ's cheat sheet. It is phenomenal. It is real good. Dude puts a lot of time into that. It's nice. I like it.
It's nice. And don't forget FTM bets too. We'll have that. I love my first goal props. Those were hot.
Oh my goodness. You are good at that too. Can you give a little sneak peek here? I know this is a DFS show. Do you have one off the top of your head? You may not have the odds, but do you have anyone first goal tonight? Let's say in Edmonton, Vancouver. Who's it going to be? I mean, it could be Yamamoto.
Yeah, so Yamamoto is going to be my top first goal prop guy. The odds, I haven't looked at it too heavily into that, but like I just
if you have the DFS package, you're going to have the FTM bets too. So
yeah,
make sure you head on over and check it out, ftmbets.com.
So actually Yamamoto, he's a plus 1,400 to score first. So half a unit, 0.25 unit, whatever your bankroll is, I'd take a shot there, man. I think that's a great play. Even Connor McDavid at plus 900. I think that's
wow.
Yeah, like how does that happen? Draisaitl plus 850. So I like those three guys. So I'm gonna do a little hedge there between Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, and Yamamoto. I think one of those guys will be the ones to score. That's the whole power play unit 1-2, if you think about it also. So at 0.25 units, each of those guys, if you hit one of those, you're sitting pretty to start the year.
Absolutely. It would be a good start. Yeah. Check out ftmbets.com. Got some bets over there for you as well. Going to put in the hockey bets here immediately after the show. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to hang out. We want your feedback too. So we want to make this show, it's all about you guys and giving you guys some winners too. So if you have any questions, have any things you'd like to see, don't hesitate to reach out. Good luck. Enjoy the hockey. We'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.
Go Panthers. Go Panthers.